Hello guys, how is it going? Welcome back to the channel, Scoundrels. I hope you're all doing incredibly well. Yes, I'm back. I had a 4-day break, something like that. So I thought I'd just talk a little bit about the reasoning behind my break. For those of you that don't know, I'm studying at university right now. I'm doing a distance learning MBA. And I'm focused on, just trying to get my university work done. And I had a deadline on Monday for 2 essays. One was 3,000 words, one was 2,500 words. I had done most of the 2,500 word one, but I hadn't actually started the 3,000 word one in classic me fashion. So I spent the entire weekend doing my essays and making sure that they were ready for submission by Monday. And and I got them both done, and I felt like I got them done to a good enough quality, despite my dad ripping into my my leadership essay a lot. So I basically took the time off to focus on some university work, which I think was important because I want to make sure that I sort of do the best that I can. I'm paying a lot of money for this university course, so I want to make sure I do well out of it. Got 2 results back from my group project work that we did in September. I got 66% for one of them, which was better than I thought we were going to get, given how hectic it was to get that one submitted. And then we got 80% for the other one, which was really happy with because we put a lot of effort into that one. So yeah, we're doing pretty well. Anyway, yeah, I'm back. That was about a minute and a half intro of just me talking about where I've been. Let's talk a little bit about the subject of today's video, and it's going to be more of a discussion video because I just thought I'd get back into it. I didn't want to do like a super long video to start off with. I just want to talk a little bit about the end goal of Eve Echoes. Now, a lot of you may have noticed that the player base for Eve Echoes has started to decline. There is a few reasons for that, and a couple of reasons that you can tell that it's declined. I don't know if you just saw me flying into jitter, but whilst sometimes I have ran into queues getting into jitter, the queues are nowhere near what they used to be, especially outside of like China and Russia prime time hours. If I'm logging in the morning, where it's kind of later in the afternoon in China, like prime gaming hours, you'll find that there's a decent amount of traffic. But now in like the afternoon and evening UK time, I'm noticing that there isn't that much traffic, and it's actually much cleaner getting in and around jitter. But I wanted to, and also that's not a problem, by the way. The player base declining is expected with a game like Eve. This is not an instant gratification game. This is not like Clash Royale where you're gonna play a few games and you're gonna get that endorphin from winning. This game is a game that you have to invest in to really get the most out of, and that's kind of what I want to talk about now. Like what is your end goal in Eve Echoes? Because there isn't this is a sandbox game. The game will not tell you what to do. The game will not tell you where to go, what kind of missions to do. It's not going to give you like a storyline ending. So with Eve Echoes, you kind of have to create your own end game. This is a game where you grind money, through various means to get bigger ships, to grind money quicker, to get bigger ships. And it's kind of a fantasy game in that sense. In the sense it's living your spaceship fantasies. So the first end game, and this is an end game that will expand when more content comes out, is kind of like a ship fantasy. There may be ships that you have identified in one of the tech pathways of the major factions, or for instance, you may have identified a ship in one of the pirate factions that you just really want to fly. So for instance, for me, my fantasy ship is the Rattlesnake. I want to get into the Rattlesnake, and I want to be able to just, go crazy with like large drones, medium missiles, just start like absolutely crushing my way through encounters, and maybe have a really good like small scale PvP battleship. Other than that, I really want a Gila. You may have heard me talk about it. The Gila is a ship that I can enjoy very quickly and do really high level PvE content with. So like I'm really committed, and these kind of are like my fantasy ships. Also, when it comes to Caldari, one of the ships that I really want to get into is the Drake. The Drake's a great PvE medium missile battleship or battle cruiser. I really want to get into that eventually as well. So you may have a ship fantasy that you want to explore, and that comes with time by unlocking tech levels, or it comes with farming the ability to get into one of the many faction ships. Like a lot of people love Mordu's Legion stuff. I think Mordu Legion stuff looks incredibly cool. I really love the Orthus. It's like a really great short-range missile cruiser, which again is another thing to consider. So you may find, and you may want to explore the ships that you think just look cool, and then explore what they do and kind of like have a ship fantasy. So that's kind of like one of the end games for Eve Echoes, like having a ship fantasy and trying to kind of like, I guess, like achieve that ship fantasy is a pretty big deal as one of the end games for Eve Echoes. Another one of the end games is just purely getting incredibly rich. Being like a Plex Baron, being able to play the game in a subscription mode for playing subscription mode game level play for completely for free. You do that by grinding ISK in one way or another, playing the market, being a PvE god, just being really good at PvP and selling the stuff. People, probably want that as a potential fantasy, being able to play the game completely for free, unlock all of the subscriber benefits using Plex only. That is a genuine sort of end game player fantasy that you can aspire to. There are obviously more player fantasies, and really that's kind of what Eve is about. You may be getting the idea that it's all about what you want to achieve in the later scales of the game. So one of the other obvious fantasies is being, PvP, nullsec, lowsec PvP, being able to roam around in PvP areas and just completely dominate. That is obviously, like being a pirate, being a space pirate is a fantasy trope across many games, and you can achieve that none more so than Eve Echoes. Eve Echoes is a game, or Eve in general is a game where you can live out that space pirate fantasy. So just being, incredibly good at PvP, getting lots and lots of kills. I don't know if you've noticed, I don't PvP in this ship. So you'll get markings on your ship. I've seen some posts on the Reddit where they've had up to 1,000 kills on a particular ship, and you get markings for it, and it's kind of like a fantasy pirate thing, and that's kind of like a kind of an end goal for some people, just being able to live the pirate lifestyle, and obviously likely the most rewarding pathway that you can get. And probably the thing that keeps most people engaged in Eve for a very long time is corp warfare and sovereignty politics. Now, at this stage in the game, we don't have the full game release right now. We don't have sovereignty, so we don't have space that is genuinely occupied and owned by corporations. We don't have wormhole space yet, which is a whole different exploration in its own right. There's lots of PvE content to be released that is currently missing. There's lots of PvP content and types of PvP warfare that is yet to be released. So that's going to expand those fantasies and expand those late game options. But corp warfare and corporation politics is the one thing that I think generally keeps people engaged in Eve, and generally keeps them kind of hooked on the game. Corp warfare is one of those areas of Eve that isn't really replicated in many other games. The ability to stake a claim on an area in the game and fight for control of it with your friends, with your corp mates, engage in spying, engage in political discourse, engage in propaganda wars. These are all things that genuinely exist in Eve. The reason I don't like to get too involved in corporation politics is because it can get really, really intense. Like, I mean, there is situations in Eve Online where one of the stories that I remember from Eve Online hearing, I don't know if anyone can like back this up if they were an Eve Online vet. I remember hearing about two corps where one of them instilled a spy. One of them sent a corp player out to join this opposite corp as a spy. And this person was a woman, and she joined the corp, and she ended up striking I can't remember if it was like a fake or if it was like or if it was genuinely real, but she basically ended up striking up a relationship with one of the high-ranking corp members of this other corp. And this went on for a very long time. I think it was months that this went on for. And then eventually these two corps ended up meeting in battle. The spy had obviously been relaying information about that corp back to the other. And essentially then this woman who was I think had made her way up through the corp ranks, was flying a relatively high-powered and relatively important ship in this corp battle. And then in the middle of the corp battle, she gave away all of the locations, she gave away all of the positions, and in the middle of the corp battle apparently turned this ship on her own corp and just started blasting at them. I think she ended up losing the ship quite clearly, but they lost this war horribly. And that was like, it was so much investment. Like, it was so much investment for like this one moment where the tables turn from this particular corp warfare, and it can get really intense. I've seen a lot of like actually quite personal discourse happen between corporations, where there's a lot of personal attacks between people in the corp, and I'm a little scared. I genuinely am a little scared to get too involved in corporation politics for that very reason. You know, I've heard of people getting doxxed. I'm not too keen on getting doxxed with, you know, having a baby son. Well, not a baby son, he's like a toddler now, but having a son and you know, and my wife, I'm not too keen on getting doxxed. So that's why I'm always maybe a little bit put off, but I suppose it doesn't happen to everyone. And I guess if you're not a dick, you're probably not going to get targeted that often. But yeah, that's part of the reason I actually get a little scared to engage in corporation political warfare. But it is quite clearly something that grips and like defines its own end game, which is one of the things that I think Eve Echoes has and Eve has going for it in general. So I just wanted to have a little talk about, you know, like the end game of Eve and how that you should not be looking for the game to signpost you to do something. You should be creating that signpost yourself and creating your own end game. My little man's getting a little grumpy. I'm gonna get him. You should be getting you should be creating that discourse yourself, creating that those signposts yourself, and figuring out what it is that you want from the game. If you want the game to give you like a massive trophy and say, well done, you completed the game, just not going to happen. But you know, maybe you want to do pirate PvP, maybe you want to do really high level PvE content, maybe you want to explore wormhole space, maybe you want to create your own corporation, stake out your own little area of nullsec in the middle of nowhere, keep to yourself, but just enjoy time with your friends. Or maybe you want to engage in large scale political and alliance warfare. You want to be part of that alliance that essentially dominates an area of the Eve universe. That's kind of the end game of Eve, and that's what you guys need to be expecting when playing the game for long periods of time. So yeah, if you guys have any other end games that you're looking forward to, or if you have any kind of areas that you think that you know haven't been explored and you'd like to talk about them in the comments, feel free to let me know what your plans are for Eve Echoes, and I will see you soon.